So I know it's getting warm, and I know we have a ritual. We always run a little longer in this service, and I bet some of us are getting hungry for the picnic. So I'll try to keep my remarks brief, and yet it is important that we understand the ritual that we're about to participate in together, where this came from, what its roots are, what it means, and what its invitation is to each of us today. Each person today came to church with a flower or received a flower from the vase that was at the doorway. Those of us who brought one, you may have found it in the woods, or perhaps you bought it at a store, or picked it from your garden. In a few moments, we'll sing a hymn and offer prayer, and then go through the ritual where everyone will be invited who has not yet to come forward through the center aisle and put your flower on the arch and then go back through the side aisles. But let's just take a moment and think about what this means. And for some of you, you may or may not know the story behind it, for it is rich. Each of the flowers represents one of us. And each one of us holds and represents so many other people. Many other people that have birthed you, come before you, you have birthed, you share your lives with. There are a lot of people coming together in this space. Alone, each and every stem and blossom is stunning. And when put together, it's magical. The flower communion was created in 1923, nearly 100 years ago, by a Unitarian minister whose name was Norbert Čapek. He was the minister who started Unitarianism in Czechoslovakia. He actually started training to be a Baptist minister, and his children discovered Unitarianism and converted him. He became a Unitarian minister, went to Czechoslovakia, opened up the first church there, and it actually grew to be, or legend says, the largest ever Unitarian church in our history, with over 5,000 members. Reverend Čapek created this ritual. However, it's important to name for all of the women that it was actually his wife, Maya, who brought it to the United States in 1940. She was visiting our sister congregation in Cambridge, Massachusetts, when she shared this ritual. And it is now done annually by Unitarian Universalist congregations across the globe. So here's the story of why Reverend Čapek created this ritual. And I adapt it from a story out of a book entitled Lamp in Every Corner. Just bring yourselves to Czechoslovakia. It's a brand new church 100 years ago. And it had a building. However, it didn't look much like a church, certainly not like this church. It had no bells, no steeple, no organ, not even a piano. No candles, no chalice, no flowers, 4 walls, a ceiling and a floor, a door, and 5,000 people. Every week, these people came and listened for hours, sitting on hard wooden chairs. And after 2 years, Reverend Čapek loved his people and said, something's missing, something's missing. And he realized that what was missing was beauty. And so he invited his congregation to come back the next week with a flower that they could contribute to make the sanctuary and their space beautiful, to remind them of the beauty in this world. And of course they asked, as good Unitarians do, what kind of a flower? What color? What size? And he said, you choose, you choose. And so the next Sunday, all the people came with all their flowers. They had yellow daisies, red roses, pink and purple, orange and gold. And this is what he said, and I will quote. He said, "These flowers are like ourselves, different colors and different shapes and different sizes, each needing different kinds of care, but each beautiful, each important and special in its own way." That was March of 1923, and he led that ritual every year in his church until 1941, which was the last year that he preached and led that ritual. You might, if you think about 1941, realize it was during World War II. And as he was standing there preaching that morning, he realized that there were likely both Jews and Nazis in the pews. And on that fateful day, he issued a challenge from the pulpit to the occupiers, and again I will quote him. "Truth and crude strength are incompatible," he said. Truth and crude strength are incompatible. And he then went on to refute point by point a speech of Hitler's. And 5 days later, he was captured and taken to a concentration camp where he died. His wife, Maya, made her home in the United States and California until her death in 1966. And when she was asked about this ritual, which we are about to do, she said this, and I'll quote her words. "The flowers are used as symbols of the gifts which each person can make to the church and through the church to other persons. The exchange of these flowers means this covenant: I shall walk without reservation with anyone, regardless of social status, religious affiliation, and I could fill in more blanks today, as long as they are ready and willing to go along in search of truth and service." Like the Chapeks, we live in challenging times. And as I wrote in my recent pastoral letter, there's more than enough fear and hatred and division in the world right now. We all need a place where we can go to find solace, restoration, inspiration, and strength for our days. I know the work we do. This is where we come to find that inner peace. We all need people with whom we can remember the essentiality of spirituality, something that is sorely missing. We all need peace if we are to create peace in our lives and in every corner of our little world. So we have recommitted ourselves this year to make Sunday worship a time of sanctuary, a place you can turn to and return to find peace, connect with your soul, and know that somehow, all will be well. All will be well.